For me, a good work of art doesn't have to be technically perfect or have a complicated story.
Used to stop this world from spinning. Like Superman, you were the only one to find the strength in all that I was deep.
My first job was creating an illustration for a Hololive song. Honestly, I was surprised to get the offer. At the time, my work often had darker themes, which I didn't think would match the sparkling, idol-like aesthetic of Hololive. Since it was my first job, it took me much longer than I expected. Through this project, I experimented with new techniques and tools to find a more efficient way to work. Still, I've learned that forcing myself to change my art style for the sake of speed can backfire, so I avoid that. The most memorable turning point for me was the Zone exhibition project. It gave me the opportunity to connect with many talented creators from my generation. Even though we were all working with the same theme, the diversity in the artworks was astounding. Each one reflected the artist's unique style and personality. On the other hand, I was so focused on faithfully reproducing the brief that I regret not taking more creative risks. For me, the theme is the most important factor. Getting paid to work on something fun is the best case scenario, but as long as the payment is reasonable, and if the theme excites me, it makes the process enjoyable. As I mentioned earlier, the Zone exhibition was a particularly significant experience for me. There was no payment involved, but all exhibition costs were covered, allowing me to showcase my work alongside other talented illustrators from my generation. Honestly, I don't feel much pressure yet, but maybe I'm just not very sensitive to it. When I do feel a little stressed, I start Minecraft, switch to creative mode, and let's just say I do something mischievous with TNT that makes me feel bad for the villagers. But it's surprisingly effective at relieving stress. I highly recommend it. Don't obsess over the details. Don't obsess over the details. Don't obsess over the details. Focusing too much on small details can waste so much time. Sometimes a rough finish can turn out just as amazing. When I received a commission from Pixiv, I was overwhelmed with surprise and joy. I chose a first-person perspective to make the viewer feel like they've stepped into the shoes of the main character. To make it even more immersive, I added a fisheye lens effect to mimic how you'd actually see the scene in real life. I based the palette on shades of blue because it suits my style best. I avoided using much green or yellow this time. Night markets are usually super colorful, but if I included all those colors, the illustration could end up looking cluttered. Sticking to a limited palette helped me focus more on the composition and story. While working on the piece, I randomly came across a YouTube video of someone in a cow costume dancing in a grocery store. It was so cute that I decided to incorporate lots of cow-themed elements into the illustration. I'm always asking myself, would adding this make the piece more interesting? That way, I can see the creative potential in everyday things. For example, I once built a card pyramid with a friend in our school classroom. Just as they were about to place the final card, the whole thing collapsed. It was such a funny moment that I thought, this would make a great illustration. Later, I drew a piece featuring a card pyramid. The lighting at night markets always feels dazzling, almost like the kind you'd see in sports arenas or on stage. That's why I chose to represent it with cross-shaped lights in this artwork. Recently, I've been less concerned with making lighting completely realistic. As long as it looks good, I'm okay with taking some creative liberties. Night markets are a super fun place for me. I especially love the minigames. Ring toss, claw machines, darts. Every time I go home to Taiwan, I make sure to stop by the night market near my house to play. These games are always so much fun, and I thought this theme would be something viewers could enjoy too. The main character's expression conveys a mix of disbelief and excitement, as if asking, "Can I really take this cat home?" Winning the stall owner's cat through a ring toss. How cool of an experience would that be? When I decided on the ring toss theme, I realized just drawing a normal game wouldn't be that interesting. Actually playing it is more fun. So, I added some quirky elements. First, I made the prizes a little unusual, like cow-themed items, a cat holding a baguette, and an angry raccoon. Then, I thought about prizes you'd never actually win in real life. The idea of using a cat came to me because, at the time, my own cat came to me looking for food. I thought, if I rang a ring toss stall, I might use my cat as a prize and let people pet it if they won. That's how the cat became one of the stars of this piece. I love expressing that ambiguous feeling of something that seems possible but isn't quite real. In Taiwan's night markets, ring toss stalls are very common, but having the main character just win an ordinary prize didn't feel exciting enough to me. Instead, I imagined a cat lounging on the stall, stretching its tail straight out for the rings to land on. It's a bit over the top and funny, but still feels like it could happen. If someone recreated this in real life, I'd be thrilled. For me, a good work of art doesn't have to be technically perfect, or have a complicated story. What matters most is if it makes you want to come back and look at it again. If an illustration moves me and keeps me engaged, then it's a great piece of art, no matter how intricate it is. Even if the story is simple, or the work has a few imperfections, if there's a moment or scene that hits you right in the heart and makes you want to relive that experience over and over, that's what I consider a good work of art. I'd love to hold a solo exhibition someday. It would focus on animation, but not just as video displays. I want to create an immersive experience. Something you can only fully appreciate by physically being at the venue. Something like my graduation project. Keep your passion alive. Passion will get you through tough times. To keep that spark alive, I always jot down ideas or compositions in a notebook whenever they come to me. Since I tend to forget things easily, writing them down is a must. I enjoy flipping through that notebook during my free time. Ideas that didn't seem interesting at the time often feel more promising when I revisit them years later, as my perspective and values change. Looking through those notes always inspires me to start creating again. I haven't been able to post much over the past year or two because of work, but I'm so grateful to everyone who still follows and supports my works. Thank you so much.